Ladies and gentlemen, stablecoins are among the most practical digital assets, especially for payments, cross-border transactions, and decentralized finance. The following panel with key industry players will offer you fresh insights into their development and future. The upcoming panel discussion is on the topic Stablecoin, the most viable use case for crypto adoption. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us in this exciting panel discussion, it's my great honor to warmly welcome on the stage the following distinguished guests and panelists. Xin được trân trọng chào đón lên sân khấu các diễn giả. It's my honor to welcome on their stage Mr. Alfred Sriomporn, founder and CEO of Raka Digital, ex-senior vice president of CM Bank. Let's welcome the first panelist, Mr. Alfred Sriomporn. Our next panelist is Ms. Quỳnh Lê, APAC Regional Expansion Lead of Tether. And our third panelist, Mr. Aligor, head of HTX Ventures. The last panelist to join us is Ms. Catherine Nhật Hạ, CMO of Bit.ai. And our moderator, let's welcome Mr. Leonard Har, General Manager of Bitstamp by Robinhood. And now, let's begin our panel discussion with all dedicated panelists and our moderator.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for sharing your Saturday and listening to our panel about stablecoins. We've got a very diverse group of practitioners, talented practitioners across the ecosystem. To my left, we've got Artit representing Raka, one of Thailand's first fully licensed digital asset custodians. We have Queenie here from Tether. I guess Tether needs no introduction in terms of what they're doing in terms of driving adoption in the stablecoin space. We have Alex, an ecosystem investor representing HTX Ventures. Thank you for joining us. And we have Catherine here from, actually we had a panel just before about AI. We have an AI-powered DEX in Bullbit. Thank you for joining us today. Look, before we go into giving the audience a crystal ball in terms of how the stablecoin space is developing, perhaps each of the panelists can share a little bit about either their role or their firm's role in helping to drive adoption today. Maybe we'll start with Catherine and we'll go across the panel.
Yes, thank you. So, hi everyone. It's my honor today to sitting with all of you guys and the audience. And I'm Catherine. I'm the CMO of Bit.ai. We're building a DEX with centralized exchange experience, but it's all on chain, and with AI technology emerge. We believe that is the gateway to massive adoption for user because it's have easier UI and UX to integrate with the platform, and also we believe that DeFi is the core of this ecosystem. Thanks.
Hi everyone, I'm Alec, heading the team at HTX Ventures. We are the strategic investment arm of HTX, the exchange, formerly known as Huobi Global. So we've been around for a long time, not as long as Bitstamp, but we've been around for about 12 years now. And yeah, we are happy we've been supporting and backing, I think, close to 200 projects, crypto projects so far over the past many years. And, happy to be here and to back the innovators and the next generation builders in Vietnam.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me today. Not sure if we're competing on the years in the industry, but Tether been around since 2014, 11 years on. My name is Queenie, and I'm the expansion lead for APAC region at Tether. Tether, as you may already know, with the world's largest stablecoin issuer. Currently, we have about 450 million users across the globe, like from 190 countries. And right yesterday, we just announced that we are the 18th largest holder of the US government debt. And I think we have done a tremendous job in driving the stablecoin adoption around the world. So we've seen a tremendous growth in terms of the numbers. So there's currently about 1.5 trillion in annual volume of stablecoin. It's even surpassed Visa and MasterCard. So I'd love to join this panel today to discuss about the viable use case around stablecoin. Thank you.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người. I can speak a little bit of Vietnamese. Thank you. Glad to be back. I used to work in Vietnam for 2 years for a bank in Vietnam. My name is Atit. I'm the founder and CEO of Rakha Digital. We are full licensed custodian out of Thailand. We actually headquartered in Singapore. We also have a trust license in Hong Kong. So our clients are the likes of licensed exchange, broker, or fund managers who hold their asset in our core wallet, core custodial wallet, right? Right now we have around 700 million USD under our custody, and hopefully we can grow more and more. Yeah, excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Great. I think we've got a really broad spectrum of practical experience to share on the topic of stablecoins. Let's go to the first question. Payments is pretty much the most fundamental and basic financial transaction, right? The payments industry over the past couple of decades has gone through significant disruption, right? If we fast forward to today, stablecoins are really being positioned as the key to unlock, a better payments infrastructure for the future. So I want to put, this question first to Alex, right? Why is stablecoin so important, right, for the future of payments?
Sure, I think if we take a step back and look at how payment space has been disrupted over the past 60 years, starting with Master and Visa, changing from cash payments to card payments 50, 60 years ago, and more recently with the legacy fintech, such as PayPal and Stripe in the more recent 25 to 10 years ago, basically allowing anyone to transact globally with just an email address. And how stablecoin changed that is pretty spectacular in a way that, for us, we've been around the space for a while, so to us, stablecoin is just another medium. But if you think about stablecoin as a payment, it's really incredible because there are 3 aspects of it. Is that it provides access to basically anyone in the world with internet access. So there are still around 1.5 to 2 billion people globally that are unbanked. So obviously, stablecoin is a way for them to access global payments. And there are about 500 to 800 million more people that are currently experiencing very expensive ways to transact internationally. They pay around between 3 to 6% in transaction fees. So stablecoin is a fraction of that, is almost near to zero cost. And obviously, the last aspect of it is in terms of its speed. It's near instantaneous settlements on the legacy fintech. Even with Stripe, you need to wait perhaps up to 1 week for the money to settle physically. So I think these 3 aspects really bring stablecoin about as a spectacular new innovation in the space.
Awesome, and I want to actually ask Arthur the same question, but I guess contextualize it a little bit. Obviously, you being based in Thailand, it's well publicized. Bank of Thailand, Thai SEC has had a public view in terms of the use of cryptocurrencies, stablecoins included, as a form of payment, right? Maybe you can tell us, obviously the importance of stablecoins in general, but how is that view being changed in Thailand?
Yeah, sure. Great question, Leonard. And I was lucky enough to be in the real use case of using stablecoin as a bridge for payment, right? So, and of course, so this journey happened in 2017. So I was with Siam Commercial Bank where we did a project where we help Thai workers that work abroad to transfer money back to their families at home, right? So we work with a big Web3 company to facilitate the payment. And you know, like if I break it down, when you do payment in traditional finance, there are two rails, right? There's money rail and there's messaging rail, which is SWIFT. So that's why the traditional payment is very slow, very expensive, and you cannot track anything, right? Back then, we worked with the regulator, which was Bank of Thailand, to use blockchain as a bridge, right? We didn't use stablecoin or we didn't use crypto as a bridge yet, right? So we use blockchain as a messaging layer. The model of the money transfer is still pre-funding. So you have nostril account between the sender and the receiver, and then the bank actually helped to clear money to the families of the sender in real time. And it's very cheap already. So actually we cracked half of the problem already, right? Lately, I think it was 2 years ago, Bank of Thailand actually was open up a little bit more. So they actually opened for stablecoin to be the bridge. We did another project called Project Dash, which we use a stablecoin. I'm not going to name the stablecoin. We use stablecoin as a bridge. So it's the same use case, right? Thai workers who work abroad. I think that use case was worker from Korea sending money to their families in Thailand, right? It was using stablecoin as a bridge. So the cost was very cheap. The transaction was very fast, and you can trace right away where the transaction, in fact, it was real time, so you don't even have to track it, right? So in this kind of use case, it actually helped people to have better life, right? And I think that's what we focus a lot in this journey. Lately, there is another use case in the regulatory sandbox, right, which is SEC and Bank of Thailand are working together. It's called Phuket Sandbox, in which it will allow tourists who come to Phuket, and hopefully later they expand in around Thailand, to use cryptocurrency or to use stablecoin, and then they can exchange through licensed exchange broker dealers into Thai baht, and then they use that Thai baht for payment. So it's almost like when you're a traveler and you come to the country, you can use the app and use a scan to pay, right? Like you're living in the country, which is very convenient. You save a lot on FX, and it's real time basically.
I think collectively on the panel and hopefully in the audience, we could agree that a payment system that's fueled by stable coins is really going to bring leaps and bounds in terms of transparency, speed, costs, right? But we're still potentially quite far away from that, becoming a mainstream reality, right? So I want to ask, Catherine and Queenie, how far do you think we are in this journey?
So I think like Alec has been mentioned, I think stablecoin is currently serving as the third major disruption in the global payment, following card networks and fintechs, because it can bring a lot of benefits in terms of the blockchain, like for example, transparency, instant programmable money 24/7. From Tether, we have seen a lot of movement in terms of the use case and the adoption for the stablecoin. In emerging countries where the traditional financial infrastructure has failed or is inaccessible for like unbanked or underbanked people, so stablecoin has become an alternative option for them in terms of savings, remittances to the family members, and also even like purchasing the goods and services or even receiving the payrolls in stablecoins. I think let's mention a little bit about the unique of stablecoin. I don't want to mention. So for us, from Tether's perspective, we don't want to touch on the really deeply on the money rail to make USDT as the legal tender in the local markets. The unique about stablecoin is that it can serve as the global clearing rails, integrated into the local devices, mobile phones, that can use across the platforms and across the countries. You don't need an intermediaries, you don't need credit card, you don't need an account that connected to SWIFT. I think, back to your question, I think we've seen a lot of movement. Even now, like I mentioned in the beginning, we have about 450 million of users using USDT at the moment. The annual volume is huge. And a lot of regulators across the globe has currently thinking about stablecoin regulations to bring that into mainstream. However, I still think that it's still in the early innings of that transformation, because if we talk about the potential of stablecoin, it can really bring a lot of benefits to other methods, like parts, for example, trade finance, importer, exporters, B2B payments, especially, for example, a lot of Vietnamese people currently acting as the e-sellers that's selling goods on other platforms in overseas like Spotify, Amazon, and they currently using like PayPal, Pioneer, or other methods in order to get their revenue back. And I think stablecoin can solve that own problem. However, that is still need some more strong push in terms of the regulatory and also in terms of the collaboration with the traditional businesses and traditional financial system to make it really, to make it like a huge adoption for everyone.
Yes, I totally agree with Ms. Quỳnh Lê, and I think that what she shared is really like broad and cover the question. I just want to add a very like small point. So the question was, where will we like? So I think that just let's take this event as an example. We can see that the audience is not the young generation, but we can see even some elder people, they come and they want to know more about. So I think we can see that it's a very huge step from the long journey that we have been through. And as Ms. Quỳnh Lê has said, I believe that the potential is massive, and we're just scratching the surface.
I mean, I think we should recognize those in the audience. Thank you for coming to learn as well. And you know, it's really what we're trying to build is mainstream adoption, right? Maybe just to round out this first question, we've actually we're probably going to run over time because we've only just covered one. But in terms of where we are in terms of adoption, if we look at data from SWIFT and BIS. Traditional rails are processing between 5 and 7 trillion of global money transfers daily, right? And if you look at what's happening on chain in the stablecoin space, that's roughly about 20 to 30 billion of daily transactions. So there's still, I think, a massive opportunity and ceiling for us to grow. And as Queenie was saying, we're just at the first innings. So yeah, we're very excited about where the future can take us. Thinking about growth, or talking about growth, the industry, stablecoin industry over the past 12 to 18 months has grown tremendously, right? I think we're sitting at total market cap peak of about 260 bill, right? A lot of that thanks to Tether. The use case is very well documented in terms of stablecoins being used to facilitate 24/7 trading in crypto markets, bridge asset for on-chain remittance. But, Queenie, I'm going to put this question to you. You're at the forefront of driving adoption for Tether's expansion team, right? We want to hear about what's new, what's sexy in terms of new use cases, right, for stablecoins. Could you just share a little bit about what you're seeing in the market?
Definitely. So please allow me to break this, the use case into two different audience, like target audience. So first, for retail markets. So we've been talking about local commerce. People can use stable coins to purchase goods, services, and even receive payrolls in stable coins. So let me give you a clear example. If you go to some countries in Latin America, for example, Bolivia, Argentina, etc., you can actually, if you go to the supermarket or even in the airport when you just land, you can see that they already display USDT as the price for the goods that on the shelf, like, so you can actually use USDT to purchase the good directly. Second use case that I would like to mention is definitely B2B, I say family remittances. So a lot of countries, for example, Philippines and even Vietnam. So previously, a lot of migrant workers from Vietnam going to Taiwan. For a long time, I believe it's 3 years, Vietnamese migrant worker couldn't open a bank account in Taiwan. And even the UN also criticized Taiwan because it's not fair for migrants workers coming there. How can they send the money back home? So I think we mentioned about the adoption, a little bit of that part, remittances. But I believe in the future that part's going to a lot stronger because of the stronger distribution network. A lot of migrant workers, family members, they can easily send money peer-to-peer directly with stablecoin on blockchain. However, when it comes to the dollar, it can easily convert to the local currency through a regulated centralized exchange or a VAPS, the virtual service provider, virtual asset service provider. And also, so that is the retail part. Last but not least is definitely some countries with high inflation. For example, Turkey or Nigeria, they are currently using stablecoin as the form of digital saving account for them to hedge against inflation. So the next target audience that I want to mention is definitely for the institutions. We talk about trade finance, but and I think this is the next $1 trillion opportunities. We're seeing a lot of demand in USDT and stablecoin for trade finance transaction, especially for the Asia, for Latin America, and for MENA region. So a lot of countries with trade deficit, it's not easy for them to open an USD account, and they prefer to pay in stablecoin and USDT right now, while a lot of countries in like Vietnam or other countries in Asia, we're not accepting the digital asset first. So there are a lot of opportunities right now if we regulatory is more open, and then I think that's going to change a lot as well. Last year, very recently, there is about 45 million of USDT oil trade transaction is happening. And I think that we would like to see, expect that number to grow exponentially. Second that I want to mention is tokenized real-world assets and on-chain credits. So I think stablecoin is going to act as the liquidity and the settlement layer for that to happen. So we want to, like as a stablecoin providers, we want to provide the liquidity, credibility, and also interoperability for that to make it happen on chain.
And maybe to Catherine, have you got anything to add? And you're working at Bullbit, pretty much deep into the DeFi space. Are you seeing any new use cases for stablecoins?
Yes, add to target user, as Ms. Quigley had mentioned. So for retail users, maybe it's very easy to image that you can redeem some stablecoin-based reward as your favorite coffee shop like Starbucks, and then you can redeem it globally. So we put stablecoin base into the loyalty system. I think that maybe it's not very huge when we talk about volume, but with the user acquisition, it will be really good to start with the young generation. And I think the second thing that we can do with the tokenization, for example, like you can very easy to purchase the small amounts of USDT, and then you put it into the tokenized real store through your phone. So it's a micro investment. I think it's really good for user acquisition when we talk about retail user. On the other hand, discuss about institution. Yes, I think it's very important, and in the future, I think it will be very easier for very easy for institution to apply stablecoin subject when let's take a company in Vietnam. They are an export company, and they can receive money via USDT directly and instantly. So it will cut down the settlement from days to just a few seconds. Yes, I think that is some of the application of the stablecoin, new use case. Talk about DeFi, stablecoin is very important. I think it's the backbone of the whole system. And yes, thanks.
Great, thank you for sharing. And maybe just to round off this question, if I can ask Alex, if you have any of your own perspective in terms of, we talked actually surprisingly a bit more about retail adoption, right, and use cases, but anything to share in terms of contrast between institutional and retail use cases, adoption? What's your take on it?
Sorry, can you repeat that again? Like,
have you got a point of view in terms of retail versus institutional adoption of stable coins? Is it going to grow at the same pace? Are there different use cases that are relevant to each audience?
So I think in terms of how I see this space going forward, the pie is definitely going to get bigger, not smaller. But as you mentioned, there's two distinct and separate use cases. One is retail, family to family, cross-border transactions to remit back the funds. And the other use case is for institutional. And that is quickly going to, I think it's going to rise quite rapidly over the next few years, particularly with the new legislation that just wrote into law in US, the Genius Act. UK, Europe, MiCA, as well as Singapore, Hong Kong, all are having stablecoin rules in place already. So that is going to help institutions to really start adopting and moving stablecoin, to experiment with it first, and eventually moving transactions in terms of with stablecoin. So I think that part of the pie is going to grow perhaps more rapidly than what retail has seen, what the other part of the pie has seen over the past 10, 12 years, because the money is just so much more significant at the institutional space. So I think they are going to both grow, but one is going to grow much faster with the clarity that's being put in place by politicians.
Great. So I'm gonna change to the next question now, just to give a bit of context, right? I think many may look at the stablecoin issuance market today as a duopoly, right? A duopoly between Tether and Circle as the incumbents, right? Many will say crypto platforms, if you want to be successful, you need to be facilitating USDC, USDT transactions. That's what users want, right? So I'm going to ask Artit this question, as a custodian, probably a more neutral perspective on this. Are we going to see the dynamic where you could say it's issuer-led at this point in time? Is it going to change so that the platforms, the wallets, the trading venues, the online merchants, are they going to start to influence the types of stablecoins that users are choosing?
That's a tricky question, and we have Tete on the panel. We do see demand beyond USDT, USDC. One of the reasons is that there's a need from retail or institutional clients to want to get the yield, right, on top of the stablecoin. So we all know stablecoin underlying is a tokenized money market fund, usually backed by U.S. Treasury bill, which means it actually has the yield as an underlying asset, right? So and by right, the reason everyone is into the two biggest stablecoin is because the best liquidity in the market, right? And it's credibility as well, so everyone is using them. But we see more and more demands of, and also stablecoin issuer who come with the yield as well. Some of them structure as a retail product, so the retail the retail stablecoin holder can actually earn the yield themselves. Some issuer structure as an institution product where institutional can hold a stablecoin and structure it and then offer it further, right? So we see that as a trend, right? So that's the number one, yield-bearing stablecoin. Number two, we see many jurisdictions are trying to issue their own stablecoin. So local currency stablecoin. It will probably be used in the biggest use case is for settlement, right? And obviously we have to be a little bit careful of that because most of those jurisdictions and those currency are reserved and control currency, right? So it has to be properly controlled by central bank, by the regulator. But when that happens, it will help the settlement to be much more seamless. Yeah, so those are the two trends that we see.
Right. And since you mentioned Queenie, I'm going to ask her view of the current dynamics, platforms, issuers. How do you see that playing out in determining user preferences?
I think that like at Tether, we have seen a historical growth for USDT. However, like for example, just as a record, we made like $20 billion in profit for the last 2.5 years, and we did all amazing things with the numbers. However, we do not want to take that status quo as the granted because there's a lot of more work that we need to do. The reason why we successful the last couple of years is because we try our best to build the settlement layer, providing the liquidity and the trust for other products and applications to build upon. And I think that's create the foundation for us to need to work on. So with the profit that we generate from Tether business, we currently only distribute about less than 5% back to our shareholders. We spend the rest of the profit not like doing yields. Definitely is not our model, providing yields or marketing campaigns a lot. But we use that to work with our partners, do a lot of investment in order to improve the global distribution network. And I think that's will be the important matter in the future, and definitely influence the users, right? Talking about the, I mean like for, like you mentioned about wallets and fintech company, definitely they're gonna take a big like influence in terms of the distribution network. But we also have other type of the applications that can, like for example, DeFi applications or other applications that can really bring the benefits for the user on the whole supply chain and ecosystem. And I think that that's gonna be matters in the future. And whoever gonna build the, providing the global liquidity, global accessibility product for everyone globally, both like in emerging countries for unbanked people and also for other people is gonna win in eventually.
Great. As we're coming to the last bank of questions, I'm gonna get a bit of interaction on the stage, right? So I'm gonna put a hypothetical. It could actually be reality, right? And really just to provide a backdrop for the next question. Let's say on the stage we have two camps, right? We have one camp which is the crypto purists, those who believe in decentralization, self-sovereignty, but importantly innovation and adoption driving in that system, right? Then we also have the centralists, right? Believe in centralization, regulatory frameworks, as key to driving innovation and adoption, right? So let's have a show of hands. Like, do we have crypto purists on the panel? Or centralists? Centralists on the panel? Perhaps we have 3 too tired to raise their hand, or just sitting on the fence.
I think we can be coexist, right? And I always say we can be coexist. Innovation always go faster than regulation, right? But then we need regulations to protect the investor benefit, right? So I can't choose one or the other side. So that's why I said, we can be a coexist. And I think, and I hope, this is my dream, that one day, when you open a bank account as a client, as an investor, you have a choice to open a fiat bank account or a digital asset bank account. And you can use that based on your needs, right? So that's my dream.
Yeah, I mean, and going further into that question, let's say in practical sense, right, we're about to see the imminent issuance of regulated stablecoins, right? Now, as that interacts in the DeFi space, a question for Catherine, right? Do you see this as, how's it going to change actually the dynamics of stablecoins in DeFi? And also, how is it potentially going to grow DeFi?
So I think that in the world DeFi, the regulation compliance also will be affected. But I think as as Mr. Arthur has said, that the innovation always go faster than the regulation. So just I take a very small example, like nowadays we afraid that the regulation and the law will require user to do KYC. But blockchain, we don't like that, because the permissionless is the core of DeFi. So we already have the technology to do that, to do the both compliant and still keep the benefit of the user. One example is the ZK is zero knowledge. So we still can KYC the user without exploiting their own identity information. So yes, I believe that with like open dialogue, and we can solve that issue. And go ahead.
Great, thank you. We're getting the zero timer. If we're allowed, I want to ask one final question. It is a one-word answer from each of you, right? We're seeing, let's focus on Asia Pacific, right? We're seeing various regulatory frameworks being put forward to have local currency stablecoins, as Artit mentioned, being issued, right? Dollar, non-dollar stablecoins. Hong Kong, Thailand, Singapore, South Korea, Japan. Which is going to be the first jurisdiction to have a local currency stablecoin issued across Asia Pacific? Let's get a view. Who wants to go first?
Well, in Thailand, there are already 2 local stablecoins.
Publicly circulating stablecoins.
Still in the sandbox. Well, Vietnam normally move pretty fast, so I'm hoping for Vietnam to do that.
Thanks for putting pressure on us. I think that's the reason we're here, right? Seeing all the audience, all the young generations here with the upcoming regulatory framework. I'm not sure. That's my dream as well. It's my hope. And I think every nation, every country is trying to move fast in this space, because if you don't move fast, you will fall behind. So that's why a lot of regulators and policymakers that we've been working with, they are asking the same questions. So first, issuance of the stablecoin is easy. However, finding the market fit and also the utility, the real use case for that local stablecoin is the very important question that need to be answered. So you need to be answered that first. You need to get the liquidity. You need to find the market fit first before becoming the publicly circulated stablecoin that can be used by other people.
Yeah, I think Queenie put across a very good point because I think in Singapore, we've been discussing about SGD stablecoin for the longest time, publicly circulating ones. But I think they are still trying to figure out whether there's a real use case, whether there's going to be demand, right? If the product's easy to create, but would there be sufficient traction? So I think it's still currently being debated. So I'm not putting Singapore as a country that could be the first to issue a stablecoin. So short answer to the question is I'm not sure which country will do that first. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just my dream, but I give my vote for Vietnam.
I think the consensus is Vietnam. So that's the conclusion for the panel today. We're all rooting for Vietnam. And thank you for the panelists. Thank you for the audience for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. And now I would love to invite all panelists to stand in front of the table for some group photos. Please take your time on the stage to take more beautiful photos together. Thank you very much to all our dedicated panelists for your strategic analysis and forecast. Thank you so much.